want that. Special delivery. I need that. Special delivery. Welcome to the Special Delivery Podcast. I'm your host, Special, and on this show, I do one of two things. Either I'm highlighting brand new music that's dropped, or I'm sitting down with an artist to break down their project, and that is what we're going to do today. Dame Funk joins me to celebrate the 5th anniversary of his project with Snoop Dogg called 7 Days of Funk, and you know the drill. We talk about everything you don't know and should know about the project, so let's hop into it. Dame Funk is here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, everything's cool. Yeah.
That's good. We like that. We got to get to 7 Days of Funk. I kind of just want to walk through each track. I have questions about each track. On this podcast, we do everything the people don't know and should know about a project. Basically, starting out with the cover art. What was it like kind of drafting the cover art for this one?
Oh, yeah. Joe Cool, Snoop Dogg's cousin, was supposed to do the cover. I really liked his stuff, but then Stone's Throw chose another artist who was known for doing like a comic book, a very underground comic book thing. He's a black artist from like South Central. It became a choice between Joe Cool's and this gentleman's stuff. And so that became the artwork, which I dug both of them, you know what I'm saying? But the artwork was more like a conceptual thing. 7 Days of Funk, the title came from when me and Snoop were just talking, and, you know, he called me and I was like, yo, what's happening, man? It's like, yeah, man, you know, because we hooked up through SoundCloud and different things like that, but we don't know each other around, like, you know, from different stuff we had done before, like shows and tributes for Nate Dogg and stuff. And we really met at an art gallery called Heavyweight, HVW8 in LA, headed by Tyler Gibney. And that particular art gallery had a showing of Joe Cool, who was Snoop Dogg's cousin, who did the artwork for Doggy Style and all of that stuff. So it was an Adidas / art gallery showing of his work. And I just happened to be DJing with my buddy Computer J, but I had my shoulder synth, and I guess I was on my part, and Snoop had, like, you know, saw me doing my thing, and that's when he like, yo, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? Like, so we find, and I've been waiting to meet Snoop for so long, but I'm just not the type of cat. I'm not a thirsty dude. It's probably to my detriment. If I was a thirsty dude, I'd probably be further than I am now. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I just wasn't that cat. And so I, like, one of the messages from my SoundCloud, Snoop had reached out like 6 months earlier and like, yo, man, let me get some of that heat. And I'm like, I said, Snoop, I missed this message, man. I didn't know you even hit me, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, so let's go. Yeah, so that's how 7 Days of Funk came about. And Snoop is so ahead of his time that he peeps, you know, other stuff before, you know, it even clicks. And I think that Snoop was on the modern funk stuff that was coming out of LA, because, you know, it's a lot of us cats like that are doing a lot of new stuff, like me, XL Middleton, like so many others, you know what I'm saying, like that are, you know, bringing funk to a new frontier, you know what I mean? And so he was like peeping, because a lot of the cats that he was around at that time, they had abandoned funk, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to admit it, but I mean, a lot of those cats are like either chasing the Southern sound or like, you know, doing something else, or taking the claps out of their tracks, you know what I'm saying? I'm like coming with the tracks with the claps loud as fuck. So he was like, you know, like, yo, I'm trying to get my people to do the funk again. They trying to do some, you know, bounce stuff, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we got into 7 Days of Funk. And it was so cool that I really appreciate him wanting to do an album, because if you really look at it, like, he's never done an album with anybody straight up except Dr. Dre. He's always had an album with different producers, you know what I'm saying? The different various producers. That maybe that album Bush with Pharrell after 7 Days of Funk, I think he went with a straight producer on that one. But you know, for him to, like, you know, come to me, cat from Pasadena, California, you know what I'm saying, from opposite ends of the road, quote unquote, we'll leave that alone. But, you know, it's like, it was so cool and admirable for him to, like, you know, want to work with me on a record. And this is the 5th year anniversary of that record this month. So, you know, Snoop is a really great guy, just to be honest with you. I mean, he's like a legend. He's a genius. He knows his music. He loves everybody. He's grown into such a mature but honest person. You know what I'm saying? He's not perfect, and that's what makes Snoop so great. You know what I'm saying? He's like not something that, like, if he does something, you're gonna like kill him for it, because he already told you that he's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of people who you respect more, because they already telling you at the get-go, yo, I'm not the perfect person, but I'm trying. And that's what kind of cat Snoop is. And you know, it was a pleasure working with him on that record. He killed those tracks, and along with Daz and Corrupt, along with Steve Arrington from Slave, who guested on the record with us. And you know, it was just boots Bootsy, on Hit the Pavement. Snoop picked up the phone and said, I need you on this track. You know what I'm saying? And in the release party, Bootsy introduced me. This is what a lot of people didn't see that weren't in LA, but Bootsy introduced me on stage and walked me down, and it was crazy, but I was drunk as fuck that night. You know what I'm saying? They gave me too much drink and I didn't have water, and I'm like fucked up on stage. I'm like, man, come on, man. You guys gotta take care of me. It was kind of like one of them things where like the biggest night of my life, and there was no regular water, just tequila. So by the time in the middle of the set, I'm like, man. So I'm just sharing the story because for anybody out there that's looking, it's like, or listening, it's like, when your big moment comes, you got to be ready, and you got to watch your teams and everybody around you, because they just gonna sometimes be saying yes, yes, yes to everything. You need somebody there around you to say no sometimes, or you don't need that tequila, you just need water. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So that's what kind of like went down at release party, and it was fun. It was the bomb. You know what I'm saying? We had Steve Arrington, Boosie, Nigel, Prophet from the Bay Area, who's on Stone's Throw now. So many cats that were on there. You know what I'm saying? But Wiz Khalifa with us standing on stage, Flea on bass thumping from Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was just crazy. I almost died that night. I going to the venue. I did a 360 on La Cienega because the street was wet. You know what I'm saying? It was so much crazy stuff. My hair was flied out. It was like I was in super fly mode. It was like so nuts. I can't even, it was so crazy. And then the next day I had to go to Russia. Can you believe that? So the next day after the release party of 7 Days of Funk, I had to fly to Russia. And after that, I got a call from Battle Cat and Snoop at the same time on my phone, but I answered Battle Cat's call, but I missed Snoop's. And so I'm talking on the phone with Battle Cat for 40 minutes, and then Snoop, I missed his. I still don't know to this day what he wanted to say after that release party. You know what I'm saying? But we saw each other because we did the videos after that for Do Your Thing and stuff like that. But it's like that was a wild period of mine. I was really going through it about some personal stuff during that time, and Snoop's project really saved me out of some things that happened in 2012. I lost my drummer J1, who has a lot of Bay Area history. He knows Tico and all those cats from Bay Area, and Max Kane, and a lot of those cats, and they have their little collective called the Animal Kingdom is what it's called. I was just going through so much. I lost him. I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life during that time. And then here comes Snoop with 7 Days of Funk. But with that time period, I was trying to finish Invite the Light. I stopped my album Invite the Light and started recording 7 Days of Funk. But like I said, it was a blessing. It was an honor to work with Snoop Dogg. Me and him are the same age. I'm like a couple of months older than him, actually. I grew up in Pasadena. He grew up in Long Beach. And it was just like we related to all the same stuff, the same cartoons, the same songs, same bagging in the back of the bus journeys, you know what I'm saying? So we all related to a lot of stuff, and it was cool. We did a lot of TV performances during that album. We did Jimmy Kimmel, we did Queen Latifah's show, we did Conan. It was just a fun time. But I'm just still not the kind of cat which people will kill me for. I'm not going to be calling Snoop every day. I'm not going to be trying to do another project every morning. I'm not going to, be bugging Snoop. That's just not me. People just anywhere, they sink their teeth into him. And I'm just like, yo, let the man breathe. You know what I'm saying? Let him do his thing, and so my thing is a lot of my audience, or his audience, when are you Snoop going to do a project again? When are you guys just guys, settle down. We'll do it when we can. You know what I'm saying? I just do my thing. He does his thing. I know you guys appreciate the project. A lot of people say it's one of their favorite collaborations. It was in a small label, it's underground, and I think that's what they appealed to them more. But in time, we'll do it again. But for right now, congratulations on the star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and just a great artist and a great friend I consider, and nothing but love and respect for Big Snoop Dogg.
Two of my favorite things about this project are things that you mentioned. First is him coming back to funk. I think that's why I remember being so excited when you guys announced this project. Was like, oh shit, Snoop on some funk shit. This is what we need, because we're all babies of funk.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're all raised on it. We all enjoy it. That's the good, feel good music. So for Snoop to return to funk was so incredible for everybody. But also, like you said, the SoundCloud message, and you just kind of doing your own thing, and not, like you said, you could have met him and ran into him a bazillion times and tried to get him to work with you, but you really just stuck to yourself and what you do, and your time came, and it was just such a cool thing to see. All of us have seen you on SoundCloud and on Stone So for all these years, and it's to see you mesh with him was just so cool for all of us. And just you doing it on your own in your own time and not pressuring or pushing anything was.
I appreciate you noticing that. Yeah, I try to keep the G code intact at all times. You know what I'm saying?
So of course, first one, Hit the Pavement, the first song you guys did together. I remember reading about how he pulled up in the Porsche to your house.
Yes.
Came like at 10 p.m. You guys were done by midnight.
Window, niggas hit the pavement. When I fall through the club, chucking up the dub on you scrubs. Niggas hit the pavement. DF on the beat. If you don't work, you don't eat. Niggas hit the pavement. Real true statement. Grind till they pay me. Real niggas hit the pavement. I'm in a coat white BM. Just clocked in at 11 p.m.
And you talk about how this was just a beat you had and you guys were just going through beats. Had you ever envisioned anybody on it, or was it something that you had thought about just keeping it just a beat?
I actually envisioned Snoop being on it, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's why I think it worked, you know, and I saved it for like maybe the third or fourth track that I didn't even hear because I just said, this one, let's see. I was experimenting with myself, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, let me see. Then he just clicked on it because I thought of him. But then also, this might be interesting to know, Dudley Perkins was going to do some stuff. I was thinking about him as well because he had wanted a track. So, it could have went to either one of them, you know what I'm saying? But I think, Snoop just being in the moment and just killed it, you know what I'm saying? Right there, it's like, it's a wrap.
And then Let It Go, kind of a love song, even though this whole project really encompasses in and outs of love and kind of struggling with, he talked about, whether it's loving somebody or even loving music, just kind of being in that in-between one. This one's more of a love song.
Let it go. You got to let it go. It feels so real and my mind won't let go. Let it go. You got to let it go. We came to vote with you one time, making everybody want to get up. This is the way we funk.
As far as the guitar solo and the Patrice Rushen sample, how did this track come together?
Okay, so that's interesting you said that because can you believe that I didn't even think about Patrice Rushen's song when I made it? So it was just a natural feel. And then when Snoop got the song in his possession, he added the Patrice Rushen feels so real. You get it? So then I said, oh, okay, damn, okay, all right, I see. So he's good as a music historian that he is. He knows how to kind of get a hook and make people more familiar and relate to it. Just because just imagine if that song didn't have a familiar hook, you know what I'm saying, that people would not know, you know what I'm saying? So he was smart enough to say, this feels so real, you know what I'm saying? For Patrice Rushen, it's G's know this, you know what I'm saying? Because this is a classic in LA. I'm sure it's many places, but kind of a low-key classic. And it was genius of him to put that hook on there and then build on top of it. I just sent them an instrumental on that when he did what he did with it. Yeah. So that was the story on that one. Hit the Pavement was in person, though. We did Hit the Pavement at my house. Yeah, but Feels So Real is something I sent to him because the more excited that we were getting, he was just like, send me more. And I was like, then he would lace it. And I'm like, oh, shit. I was in New York and he sent me a couple of damn, Snoop, you killing this. He's like, yeah, man, send me more. So that's how Feels So Real came up.
I love that so much. And then Fading Away, which is actually fading from I Don't Want to Be a Star.
Girl, you got me fading away.
Yeah.
What was it like choosing that one for him?
He chose that. He said he was driving around and he already hipped in. So I guess somebody got him the song. Because see, now at this point, from before I guess after the performance with Heavyweight and that art gallery thing with Joe Cool, he had started maybe discovering some of my music. But he was into it. And then, so he just yo, I'm going to rap over that. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, you just want to take that one? Because I just thought of it as an instrumental, something that I'd always just for people to just ride to. But then he took that and all of a sudden I opened up my inbox and Snoop was just all over that track. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. And it became Fading Away. I think a lot of people relate to Fading Away because it's just stuff that goes on, in different people's relationships, you know what I'm saying? And that's why that clicks so much to people, you know what I'm saying?
And then we get to one question. Of course, you got the slave shirt on with Slaves, Steve Arrington.
I just got one question to ask you. You love me? Do you love me? I just got one question to ask you. You love me?
And you had just done the project Higher. So what was it like kind of bringing Snoop and Steve Arrington together on this track?
Oh, it was great. I was kind of nervous. It's like, man, you know who Steve Arrington is, right? And it's like, come on, man. He knows who Slave is. You know what I'm saying? Like walking down the street watching ladies and, Steal Your Heart, Snapshot. We grew up on all that funk, because we have to understand, and of course, I don't have to explain it to the West Coast, but, up and down the West Coast, we grew up on funk from the connection of like Dayton, Ohio, and a lot of those Midwest, connection. We didn't really grow up on disco as much, even though we had it on the radio. We just tended to, because of the landscape of our weather and things like that, we related to like Zap and P-Funk and that kind of music. So we all grew up, and our radio stations played funk as we were growing up. And then of course it got into hip hop, with Run DMC and stuff like that later on. But before Run DMC in hip hop took a stranglehold on all of our necks in, California, funk was the music, that we all, loved, and electro and, stuff like that. When he heard me tell him, like, I got Steve Arrington on deck, and it was like he got excited, and it's like, yeah, man, that's cool. And then, so I sent him a track that Steve was already on, and then Snoop just did his thing on top of it. So that's how that track came along.
Good stuff. And that brings us to Ride with Corrupt.
She lost it when I entered the room. I've seen too much of a gangster scene. Then I hit her with that gangster lean. Doing it the way it's supposed to be. We should ride. Doing it the way it's supposed to be. Listen.
Ride, smoking that dope shot. Roll up till we all come down.
Yeah, Ride was something I was surprised about, because that was one of the tracks I sent to Snoop just to see if he felt it, and then I was shocked to see that Corrupt had got on it, you know what I'm saying? So I think he maybe was in a studio and, just, vibing with Snoop, and, they all just got down on it, and then, it just really came together. Now, eventually, me and Corrupt hooked up face to face in my studio, the same vibe that me and Snoop had. But we did a song called Stop Playing Those Games, and just for the heads out there, and he killed it. But it was so angry and filthy. I couldn't, because the album was called Invite the Light, and I said, man, I can't put this on here, man. We had Joy Gilliam, who, I don't know if you know who Joy is. She was down with like D'Angelo and all the Dungeon family back in the day. Joy was on it, the hook, and killed it as well. And I was going through some stuff, so some of the stuff they were talking about was kind of like, and then after they've done it, I was like, I'm trying to be peaceful to this person now, so I'm like, I can't really put it out. I had a song with Corrupt and Joy on the song, but I haven't released it yet. It remains under-released because it's just real, you know what I'm saying? But then again, sometimes you got to make that decision. As being a mature man, like you have to say, if something is not right and it doesn't make sense to release because of something you were going through, don't release it. You know what I'm saying? It's because that's that energy you're putting out there. I don't want to put any negative energy out there based on something, especially because I became cool with like some of the people in the subject matter. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I pulled the track. But anyway, me and Corrupt ended up hooking up face to face with that particular track, Ride. He had that Snoop slid him, and then Corrupt just killed it. And that's how that track came about. Good
stuff. And then the super chill Do My Thing.
Let me do my thing. Cause I'ma do my thing. Do it. Let me do my thing. Can I do my thing?
Oh, Do My Thing was dope. It was like something that I let him hear when he was over my house, and then I sent him that, and then and he was like, yo, man, and that was another song from Teach His Own. That was so Faden was from I Don't Want to Be a Star, but Do My Thing was on Teach His Own, and Superfly had my album on the tours that they were going on the bus. So Superfly used to play to each his own CD on the tour bus. So that's kind of like how, and you got to understand, I'm thinking I'm like just nobody's paying attention to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like thinking I'm like the odd man out, out of the Illuminati of LA producers. And I'm like, nobody cares. And then here I go, realizing that I'm discovering that Superfly is playing my music, the Snoop and them on tour, and like the band is listening to 1500, all those cats, and So Snoop chose that song that they all dug, because it was an instrumental as well. And there you have it. He decided to use that track. That's how that came about, and I just let him do his thing.
Incredible. I love just the thought of them listening to it on the bus. Like
it's a trip.
So dope.
I never knew until later on these stories started coming up for me to share with you.
Yes. And then that leads us to basically just the ode to funk and great music. I'll be there for you.
7 days funk. I'll be there for you when you need some company. Right there for you. Baby, come to me. Right there for you.
I made that song on the back of a tour bus that I was on with me and my guy, Computer J and J1, rest in peace, because I took my equipment with me. So when they would be talking on the back of the bus, I would just have the drum machine in the back seat, and I would have the keyboard on top of my lap. I had the headphones, and I just made that track. That was another one. Snoop was asking for more, so I sent him, another track, and that was one he just laced. Because we did a lot of stuff remote. I know a lot of people now realize that, it's good to be in person with some people, but me and Snoop have such a organic and sincere relationship, being in the same year and everything like that. We were born, and just knowing the fabric of Los Angeles, I didn't have to be in a studio with him. He already got it. You know what I'm saying? Now, some people, you do got to be hands-on, like, this is what you do, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But me and Snoop didn't have to be in the studio. He just got it. Like, I know what this is. I can just done deal. So that's how that track came about.
And I love it too, just the idea of you being in the back of the bus creating that. Like, I always find it so fascinating where beats happen, because they can happen anywhere. Then the bonus track, Systematic with the Dog Pound.
Real fun. We had it again. Systematic funk, just for your mind.
That was a one that I was surprised, and at this point in the project, I think Snoop was kind of, as a gift, try to explain like this. I could only imagine if it felt like that in so many ways. It's like he surprised me and had the Dog Pound on that track. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like damn, I love what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man, I'm giving you the Dog Pound in this shit. Dog Pound and Snoop ain't been on the song in a while altogether. So he liked that joint, and he chose that one. And it was like, a teaser type track, but it was dope. And I appreciated them both being on. And Daz and Corrupt were very respectful. They shouted out my name, and those cats from Long Beach, they really are into the music. I mean, if that's the difference between Long Beach and a lot of the cats in LA. Long Beach weren't afraid to be very into music growing up. They had this different vibe, and it kind of reminds me of Pasadena as well. But LA is cool, but everybody was so into rap, and a cat in Long Beach probably like Stevie Nicks as well. You know what I'm saying? And then Pasadena, cats kind of have a Rush album, Moving Pictures. But in LA, it seemed like it was just so you couldn't do that. So the outer cities, had a different vibe, and that's, you got to understand, that's where Warren G and Snoop and all those cats come from. They have a more appreciation for music. Nate Dogg, a lot of those cats really loved all the music because they grew up with different backgrounds all in the same city. I grew up with different backgrounds, went to school with different backgrounds. LA, those cats and there, they were not really mixed up with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? But the outskirts cities in Southern California, they had different backgrounds. You had the surfer cat, in the same class as you, the same dude wearing a Def Leppard shirt, you know what I'm saying? And then you had the different, that's how we grew up. So cats in Long Beach and Pasadena and surrounding areas of LA, we just had a different type of vibe, and that's what I love about them. And that's what I respect about Snoop, Daz, and Corrupt from that track. You could tell they're really into music, and all those cats are. You know what I'm saying? That's what I love about those cats, man. The whole Dog Pound, the Snoop, and them, they really respect music.
So incredible. And you and Snoop are basically huge just music historians. And then, like you said, you also addressed it on Twitter a couple days ago. 7 Nights of Funk. If Snoop has time and you guys can get together, then we'd love it. I also remember reading that Tyler wanted to be on it, but it just wasn't in time. So hopefully someday we get that. We'd love it. Anything else you want to say about this just super amazing project, 7 Days of Funk?
I just really appreciate the people that got into it. It was in a label called Stone's Throw Records that caters to a specific audience and kind of like an underground worldwide thing. It's not just the United States, but Stone's Throw is known worldwide. So it's kind of like a quiet release, but then the heads knew about it. It wasn't on Geffen or RCA or anything like that. So it could have been bigger, but I appreciate everybody getting into it. We kind of like both settled with like doing something like as a moniker, 7 Days of Funk, because, we were doing other things. And so he went under the Snoopzilla. I went under the Dame Funk still, but the 7 Days of Funk thing was just kind of like more of a people that could kind of catch on. It was almost like a gift, what I'm saying, to like the heads. And then it set him up for like doing something like Bush with Pharrell, you know what I'm saying? It was more of just like project that I really appreciate being a part of. And I really love the fact that, we were able to do a lot of TV and show people like, kind of like a precursor to the funk vibe. Because if you understand, Bruno and all those guys and Mark Ronson and all those guys, they got, I don't want to go too far, but it's like, when we did that, it's like a lot of people say, oh, okay, let's start doing funk. It's like, I don't want to take too much credit for it, but I think what happened is that, doors are starting to be open, and then it was like, boom, the door got kicked open from the little steps that me and Snoop made with 7 Days of Funk and, stuff I've been doing for years. And, the parties, Sweater Funk in San Francisco, Funkosphere in LA, these things that have been going on where it's like funk and boogie and that type of sound, and it was in disco was starting to come like back to the forefront. So I think the overground and the major labels like, oh, you go scout, go see what's going on in these other clubs, and that's what happened. Let's not front. That's what happened. And it was time. People were ready for like a uptown funk because it just said people were ready. You know what I mean? So that was because when people would 5 years earlier walk into a club and hear, I love that sound. And then they started telling their friends, yeah, man, I think I like funk again, blah, blah, blah. Then by 5 years later, you started, yeah, it's time to do funk again, so that's what happened, so, and it's a good thing. People used to hit me up about the whole Bruno thing, and I'm like, I'm happy because he opened up the doors and got people more at a bowling alley or a sports bar or something to accept that type of rhythm and that tone, and not so much. It gave you a different change from trap music or, pop music or, like bar rock music, what I'm saying? So now you can have Uptown Funk or 14 Karat Gold as a part of the fabric of the United States now, what I'm saying? So, I think it was a good thing. But, I hope that people, realize that, it was some people that were at the forefront of it, and that helped, kind of spring along. But, the story will be told later down the road, what I'm saying? And here we are. So I'm happy to be around, and I appreciate everybody just, knowing that I exist, and, and I'm still out here, just doing my thing. And I appreciate you talking to me today.
Thank you so much. I super appreciate it. Thank you for the gift of 7 Days of Funk. We're so excited for new music and all the new things that you got going on.
Thank you so much for having me. Keep the funk alive, y'all. All the best to you and stay positive. Peace.
Thanks so much for checking out this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that follow or subscribe button on whatever you're listening on, and then reach out to me. Let me know what your favorite part was, or just say hi. I'm on Twitter at SpecialSays, and on Instagram it's at SpecialSays as well. And as always, this episode is dedicated to Marlon. Do what you can to stop senseless acts of gun violence.